Hi, and welcome to another mini project video thanks to the 3D Printing Club in partnership with Mizzou's College of Education, Information Science and Learning Technology. This mini project is directly related to the ISLT 4310/7310 class that the three previous mini projects were a part of. In this video, we're going to show you how to take our previously made hinge from mini project 2 and how to accurately add dimensions, make sure the tolerances for fitting and sliding are correct for a 3D printer, including how to print the entire piece as one STL file. Starting off, when you open up Fusion 360, you will need to navigate to the grid or data panel and open up the hinge that you created for Mini Project 3. Now you can go ahead and close the data panel and you should be left with only your hinge mini project open. If you remember from Mini Project 3, we left certain spaces on each of the fins so that way we could indeed fit the knuckles of each fin onto the other. However, one thing we didn't do was to make sure that these fins actually had a gap between each other. Right now, there is room for the knuckle, but that room is 0. They're touching, and that's not good if we want to try to print this object all together at once. What we need to go back to is our circle sketch. Down in the history, you can see our second sketch, or sketch 2. Right click on it. Sometimes edit sketch won't be available right away, so click off again, make sure the sketch is still highlighted. Right click, edit sketch. You can also just double click the icon and that should bring up the sketch. So previously we had these 3 circles. Let's start out in dimension, our big circle, which should be black, and an error message should pop up saying adding the dimension will over-constrain the sketch. Choose OK to create a driven dimension. We're okay with just a driven dimension, which in this case is something that is just a number that tells us how big our dimension is rather than defining how big the circle is. This is important to give us a better scale of our other circles that we need to create. So after making a driven dimension on our larger circle, we're in fact actually going to make a circle bigger than that one. Starting with center circle, clicking the origin and going up to 11 millimeters. This is going to allow space for the knuckles to actually not be touching the fin unless it is the knuckle attached to said. The next thing we need to do is make sure that our inner circle has a correct dimension with relation to our middle circle. Right now it's at 0.59 millimeters. In order to get a nice and loose print, let's go ahead and just change that to 0.5. The next thing we need to do is dimension our middle circle to our previously bigger circle. We want this to have a little bit more thickness to it to make sure that it can withstand the hinge itself. So we're going to change it from 1 to 2. Once you have all of these 4 dimensions and the new outer circle, hit stop sketch. This should automatically update your previous feature. Now let's go ahead and hide body 2 to see our fin from before. We'll need to figure out which feature we actually use to extrude this hole. You'll notice when you select a face that was created by a feature, it highlights that feature down at the bottom with 3 dash marks. Go ahead and edit that feature by left clicking on the feature, then right clicking it and hitting edit feature. What we need to do on this one is actually select our new larger circle to be included in the profile. This will make sure that the knuckle on body 2 accurately slides on this fin. Once that is done, we need to go ahead and edit our body number 2. We'll need to do essentially the same thing on this body that we did on the other one. Click on the face that was created by our cut. It'll highlight it. Left click, right click, and make sure to add to our profile our new larger circle. After adding the larger circle to our feature, our cut feature, you'll notice that the knuckle and pin is now an entirely separate body. We don't want this. We need to add something to our circle sketch in order to make sure that this object stays contained within our fin. Once again, go back to your sketch 2. Left click on sketch 2, right click on sketch 2, edit sketch. Because we still have body 1 highlighted, you see that we can actually see the profile in our sketch. That's great because that's exactly what we need. Now, hovering over on the top of your fin, you should see a blue line with a blue X appearing. Go ahead and scroll over until you intersect with our slightly smaller circle, our original big circle. This line should be 5 millimeters at 0 degrees. Create another line. This time it should be at the end point of our fin. This line needs to line up with our upper line at 5 millimeters. Assign an arbitrary length for our second line. Then click on the end point of our second line and the end point of our first line. You'll notice that this line is not perfectly vertical. That can be changed by selecting the line, going over to our sketch palette and clicking horizontal/vertical. Now we have our profile set up exactly how we need. Stop the sketch, go back to our feature by selecting the face of our knuckle, highlighting our extrude feature, left click, right click, edit feature. Now we need to go ahead and make sure we select the profiles that are of our knuckle. For this case, we can actually just select this weird quarter circle that was created by our two lines. We'll notice that the body 3 disappeared and it just became body 2 again. All connected into one piece is our fin 2, our knuckle, and our pin, which is exactly what we. Now, showing body 1, you can see that there is a gap between each knuckle and the pin. This is great, this is exactly what we need. But something that we didn't do is that we didn't actually add any dimensions to our fin. What is this thing going to actually be hinging? Well, in this case, let's go ahead and try to make an example door hinge. Something really simple. The average door is about 1.5 inch thick and slightly under 7 feet. But we don't actually care about the height of our door, we just care about the thickness because that's where the hinges will actually be placed. Going back to our original sketch, our sketch 1, left click, right click, edit sketch. We need to add dimensions to it. Click D on the keyboard, select the leftmost line and your left middle line. Notice, because we did add 2 lines on either side of the center line on our sketch 1, that we have 3 center lines. That's why I say click the leftmost center line. This will actually be the thickness of our fin. Go ahead and type in 1.5 space IN to indicate that you want inches, and it will automatically adjust the other fin for us because of the way that we originally created our rectangle. And just to follow suit, let's go ahead and dimension the height of our door hinge to fit more adequately with a standard door hinge, which in this case is actually 3.5 inches. So type 3.5 space IN for inches, hit enter. Go ahead and hit stop sketch. Again, this will automatically update our file for us. There's one more thing we need to add to our hinge to make sure that it's actually more reminiscent of an actual hinge, and that is holes on the fin. In order to do this, we're going to go ahead and edit our original sketch to add holes and then change the profile of our extrusion to incorporate these hold regions. We need to go to the circle command, center diameter circle. On the diagonal lines that was created from our rectangle, we're going to set the center of our circle. Go ahead and pick a piece at random. We're going to do a 7.5 millimeter diameter hole, hitting the keyboard C diagonal line to get our intersection point, selecting it, choosing a random length, then clicking D for dimension, clicking our new circle, changing that dimension to 7.5 millimeters, hitting enter, creating yet again another circle. This needs to be lined up with our origin. If you hover over the red line, it should automatically keep it horizontal to the origin point. Go ahead and type in 7.5 millimeters. One more problem we have is that these holes are not lined up with each other. Take a line and you draw it from the center of our top circle to the center of our bottom circle. You can change this line to be construction, which will make it an orange dashed line. Selecting this line again because we do indeed want it to be vertical. Now we're going to need to align our middle circle. Going to line, selecting the center of our circle to the midpoint of our leftmost vertical line, changing this new line to construction, hitting D for dimension, selecting our newest line, and we're going to change this to be 25 millimeters. Next, we need to align our top and bottom holes to our middle hole. Select the orange line that connects those two and the orange line that connects our mid-circle to our leftmost line. Go over to your sketch palette and click midpoint. Now that we have the circles on one side, we need to copy them over to the other side. Going to sketch, mirror, select our circles and the 2 construction lines we created for the objects For mirror line, we need to select the actual midline. You'll notice that a preview here, hit OK. This will also copy over the dimension from our left side. Let's say we change our original middle circle from 25 millimeters to 20 millimeters. You'll notice that it changed our mirrored copies as well. So let's go ahead and undo that. Stop sketch. Now, to make sure these circles are accurately portrayed in our fins, we need to go ahead and change the original extrusion that we did. And click on one of the fins, which will highlight our extrusion. Left click, right click, edit feature. Make sure to deselect all of our circles. And now our hinge is actually looking like a hinge. Congratulations, you've learned how to accurately dimension something. Remember that in order to get something to print all as one piece, you need to leave tolerance. A piece will not fit together if the size of the peg is the same size as the hole. The peg needs to be smaller than the hole. Now, I mentioned that we can actually save this as one STL to get it to print all in a single print. In order to do that, you need to make sure A, it's saved with all of the correct dimension, and B, you need to go up to your named icon in the browser. It should be right at the top of name view and units, and right under the sketch. Right click on the name and save as STL. This is a indirect way to make sure that all the bodies that are currently visible will be saved into a single STL file. Make sure deselect send to 3D print utility and hit OK. Now you can save it anywhere on your computer that you need. Be sure to follow the instructions on Canvas to turn in the appropriate files to your instructor. Thanks for watching this mini project. If you have any ideas for future mini projects not related to the ISLT 4310-7310 class, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching this video by 3D Printing Club. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like or a comment. Be sure to subscribe or check out one of our other videos. Thanks!